Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Hi everyone, Mrs. K and I are back at it again with some more math for you. We got our second example for today and we are excited to share it with you. So hopefully you just watched the video where I taught you some stuff about rational numbers. Now Mrs. K has got some more information for you, so she's gonna take it away. You're up, Mrs. K.
Okay, so I've made some slides for us. I'm going to talk through those slides as we go. We'll see if Mrs. K can handle this. How's that?
Oh, perfect.
Well, we're learning about absolute value today, and on the NWEA test and on the MAPS test, we had something that looked like this. Can you see my arrow, Mrs. Zimmerman?
Yeah.
Can you see it in the middle there?
Yep, right there.
Okay. Yep. So you see this bar and then the number 2 and then the bar. A bunch of kids asked me in MAPS testing, or are those supposed to be parentheses? I had a couple different questions. And no, students, this is a new math symbol. Absolute value is equal to the distance a number is from 0 on the number line. So if you look at my number line down here, you will see 0 in the middle, and then the number 2 is graphed here in blue. Well, we want to know what the absolute value of 2 is. We want to know how far 2 is away from 0. So I'm going to count, bunny jump, 1, 2. I am 2 units or 2 jumps away from 0. Well, 2, the absolute value of 2 then is 2. I know it sounds strange because 2 is 2 units away from 0 on the number line. Let's try it with another problem because that almost seems too easy. So here I have a number line and the problem says find the absolute value of a negative 2.5. So if you look at this number line at the top of the page, I am putting my cursor at 0, and I'm graphing a negative 2.5, and I counted by half. So there's a negative half, negative 1, negative 1.5, negative 2, and there is negative 2.5. It is the blue dot on the number line. So if I want to know what the absolute value of a negative 2.5 is, I am going to count how many jumps or how many numbers I am away from 0. So when I count that, I start at 0 and I have a negative 1, that's 1, a negative 2, that's 2 jumps, and then a negative half. So that's an 2.5 steps away from, sorry, class, a negative, that is 2.5 steps away from 0. Look down here at the bottom. Do you see those 2 lines that we've been using? That means find the absolute value of a negative 2.5. And we know that a negative 2.5 is 2.5 steps away from 0. So we wrote equals 2.5. This is my answer. Here's my problem. Here's my answer. Mrs. Zimmerman, is this making sense?
It is, yeah. So you're saying those 2 lines going straight up and down, that basically just means absolute value?
Right. It's just a symbol. Like
Sure.
Parentheses,
Yep.
or the division sign, any of that.
All right. Yep. This
Okay.
makes sense so far.
All right, let's try another one. Okay, so the next problem is find the absolute value of 3. And you can see I have, circling it with my cursor, the bar, the 3, and the bar. That means find the absolute value of 3. Well, what's the distance from 3 from 0? So I graphed it on this number line, and you can see 0, and I graphed my 3 here with the blue dot, and now I'm going to count. 1 jump, 2 jumps, 3 jumps. I am 3 numbers away from 0. So down here at the bottom, hang on, it says the absolute value of 3 is equal to 3 because I am 3 away from 0 on the number line. Now I know what you're thinking. Mrs. K, this is so easy. Mrs. K, I don't need a number line. That's okay. Then don't use a number line. I'm just trying to show you with a picture so you understand. Mrs. Zimmerman, anything to add?
You know, I don't think so, Mrs. K. I feel like this is a pretty straightforward problem.
Okay.
I think I got it.
All right, so let's try some practice.
Ooh, good.
First problem says, find the absolute value. And you can see the 8 with the 2 bars. So I don't have to write the words. I could just write this 8 with the 2 bars. No. Oh, Mrs. K wants me to find the absolute value of 8. Mrs. Zimmerman,
Yeah.
what's the absolute value of 8?
Let's see. Well, the absolute value of 8, if I'm thinking about a number line, it's going to be 8 away from 0, so 8.
You're right. Okay, let's go to the next one. The next one is a -6. So I'm picturing in my head -6 on a number line. It's to the left of 0. And I'm starting at 0 and I'm counting to -6. And I'm counting -1, -2, -3, and so on. How many jumps or how many numbers is it away from 0? Mrs. Zimmerman, I'm putting you on the task here.
All right, so we're at -6. To get to 0 is going to take me 6 jumps.
Correct.
Yay.
All right. Let's look at the next one. We have the absolute value of 0. How far is 0 from 0? Class, you know this answer. It's 0 because it's already on 0. All right, so today you were working with fractions and decimals with Mrs. Zimmerman, and we have our last problem is 12.9. So we are on the left side of 0, and we are 12 and 9 from 0. You take that 12 and 9/10 to a fraction, a mixed number if you wanted to, but this just becomes 12 and 9/10. It's away from 0 I am. All right, now we're going to go to comparing. And we're comparing just like Mrs. Zimmerman did in our previous problems today. All right, so now we're going to compare our two numbers. And before we compare, we have to change this -5, the absolute value of a -5, to its answer. We have to find the answer of that first. So I'm going to take that -5, the absolute value, and change that. And you can see I plotted it on this number line for you to see. The -5 goes to 5. And then 2 is just the normal number. It is also an integer. So we want to know which is bigger. Is the 2 bigger or the absolute value of -5 bigger? And I think the value of -5 is larger because it is right of the other number. It is bigger on the number line. Mrs. Zimmerman, any?
You know, I was just wondering, so when I see these two numbers compared to and the absolute value of -5, before I compare them, I have to do the absolute value first, right?
Right. Because the absolute value is like a math problem. In order of operations, you do parentheses first. Well, when you're graphing absolute value, you do the absolute value first. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. That's good.
Okay. Because you can look at, they sort of look like parentheses, don't
They
they?
kind of do, yeah.
All right, let's try another one. All right. So let's compare without the number line. If you look at the first problem, it says absolute value and four numbers or 4 steps. So that is 4. And the other is a -2. 4 is -2 on a number line. So I drew a alligator mouth open to the absolute value of -4. The next problem, the absolute value of 5. 5 is 5 numbers away from 0. So the absolute value is 5. And I'm comparing it to a -5. Which one's bigger? The -5 or the 5? And we would say 5 is bigger because it's farther right on the number line. If we were talking money, it would be comparing $5 in my pocket to owing somebody $5. That's the negative part. Okay, last one. We have the absolute value of 9. How far is 9 away from 0 on the number line? 9. And I'm comparing 9 to 10. Which one's bigger? And we're going to say the 10 is bigger because the 10 is farther right on the number line. Zimmerman, anything you want to add?
I got nothing. This makes a lot of sense.
Okay. So class, regardless of whether you use a number line or whether you just do it in your head, remember, find the absolute value of the number or the fraction or the decimal first, and then either plot it on a number line or do it in your head and give the alligator mouth the bigger amount. Okay. That's all I got for you, Mrs. Zimmerman.
All
I'm
right.
bring it back to our screen here.
Here we are. Well, everybody, these are your 2 examples. So you already watched my video. This is Mrs. K's video. If you go back to the Google Doc, there's a couple other things, you should be kind of familiar with how the document works now. So you can click on those links. And we hope you have a really good rest of your week. And remember, if you miss us, you can just keep watching it again and again, and we are here for you. So email us anytime and have a good rest of your day.
Be well, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Stay
We miss
safe
you.
and healthy. Bye-bye.